Now, welcome to another Let's Watch Some Star Wars, another deep dive video that will take us into the latest episode of The Acolyte, into the fourth episode called Day. And what I'm going to do here is just rewatch the episode, and I will stop at certain points, put up a screenshot, and kind of give my thoughts off the cuff. There is no script here. And I will talk about the good and the bad. I will kind of go over theories. I will go over things I like, don't like, things that maybe break canon. And if you're maybe someone who wants a little shorter of a review or more to the point review in terms of what I thought of the episode and just some of the key moments, I have another shorter review up that does do just that, and I will put a link to it in the description below. And so let's waste no more time and dive right into episode 4 of The Acolyte. Okay, so the episode opens up on the planet Khofar, where the Wookiee Jedi Kelbaka is kind of hanging out. We know he was there 16 years ago. He was there last week in the flashback episode where the witches all die and we don't know why. There's a big fire, but it doesn't seem like the fire killed them. It seems like, or it's kind of implied, that the Jedi may have done something shady or something they didn't know was going to be disastrous, and now they all regret it. And that is why I think Kelnaka is here. He is looking at strange symbols, or he has them kind of plastered all over his little hut here. That kind of look like yin yang. That kind of look like he thinks maybe balance is somewhere between the dark and the light. He is a Jedi who has clearly lost his way if he believes that. Anyway, he's just chilling at home, cooking up some grass to eat because, you know, we got to establish that this is back to the present tense after last week's flashback episode. We are back to where May and Quamar are coming after Kelnaka because she is thinking he's responsible for her sister's death or something. We'll get more into that. But again, we're just kind of establishing that we're back in the present tense here. Alright, and then it is on to Coruscant, where we begin with this little training sequence where we see a Jedi Master. I'm assuming he's kind of teaching some Padawans some lightsaber techniques. He has some words of wisdom for them about you should diminish errors of vulnerability. You need to maximize your defenses without the need to strike. It's all well and good, all good stuff you could hear a Jedi saying for sure. Nothing wrong with that in particular. The problem will actually come later on when the Jedi do encounter an opponent, and I'm kind of getting way ahead of myself, but this is the episode where they will encounter the Sith for the first time, and when they do, they all pull out their lightsabers and just like charge at them. All this training that they do, all these sayings and these philosophical beliefs about how to approach lightsaber combat, if you will, they all just go right out the window, and it's like, charge! And I mean, I get it. It's the first time you've probably ever seen a red lightsaber. It's the first time a Jedi's probably seen a red lightsaber in like 900 years. But it's just kind of hilarious how just all that training, we literally at the beginning of the episode, this is how you should approach lightsaber combat. And then it's like, nah, we're just going to charge at the dude. But anyway, the scene then carries on, and Jackie, who was in the little training sequence there, she was getting some lessons that she doesn't take to heart either because she will be there to face the Sith later on. But she sees Osha, and Osha is basically like, you know, I think I'm just going to leave. I know my sister is alive, that we found her alive after 16 years, and I thought she was dead, and that she started a fire and killed everybody. And I've been living with this for so long, and you would think maybe I'd want to figure out what the heck happened. But nah, I'm just going to leave. You guys can do this. This is Jedi business now. I have no part in this, and I'm just heading out. And I think this is all in an effort to kind of make you start to feel like maybe Osha is guilty in some way, shape, or form. Something is kind of not right with Osha, because later in the episode we're going to get May, and she kind of does a flip the other way, and we'll get to that. But it's like the episode, or the series in general, really wants you to keep questioning who is in the right or who is in the wrong, who is guilty, who is innocent, what exactly happened. And so they keep having the characters kind of do these kind of strange things where you're like, well, why are they doing that? Am I now supposed to believe maybe Osha is guilty and she's trying to escape because, oh my goodness, May's alive and May knows the truth. May knows I'm the one who started the fire and killed everybody. And I get it, it's supposed to be a mystery, so they want to keep you guessing, but as I said in my review last night, everything is so either blunt and in your face or so vague that you can't get anything out of it. There's no subtlety, really. There's no subtlety in anything. It's just so direct or so indirect that you're like, I can't figure this out. Not because it is necessarily a well-presented mystery, but because it is being deceptive in a way. And yeah, I get mysteries are going to be deceptive, but very intentionally so to frustrate you, I feel. Instead of there being actual hints and things you can sink your teeth into, actual clues, and trying to really discern motivations, here it's just like, I can't figure it out because the characters are so inconsistent. But moving on, we then see Quamar and May arrive on Khofar. They are here looking for Kelnaka. You may recall that at the end of episode 3, that's where they were headed to, that they were going to look for one of the Jedi that May wants to kill. And yet, here in this scene and throughout the rest of the episode, it's going to be implied that Quamar really wants the Wookiee killed too. This episode really, and I mean really, tries to imply or hint at the fact that he is the Sith master, or is maybe the Sith master's apprentice, or is something along those lines, that he is far more than meets the eye, even though we see him like tripping over stuff and acting really goofy and kind of strange in order to kind of try to throw us off that he's not the Sith, or that he's trying to throw off May. But anyway, it is so obvious that he is gotta be the Sith that I don't think he is the Sith, that it wouldn't make any sense that you would make it this obvious. Either that or it's trying to kind of fake you out, make you think, well, it's too obvious that he's the Sith, so he's not the Sith, which means he actually is the Sith. This, I guess, is how the show attempts to be clever. Alright, and before even talking about the next scene, we have to keep in mind that the Jedi are aware of where May is going next, or they have a very strong suspicion that she is going after Kelnaka. At the end of episode 3, we even see Saul being like, I just want to go to Khofar to try to save Kelnaka, because that's where we know she's going. And Venestra is like, we don't make decisions like that, Saul. We have to talk about things in a meaningful way, so you have to come back to the Jedi Temple to have this meeting before trying to go save the Jedi whose life might be in danger. And so now we get to see that meeting, we get to see the Jedi sort of mulling around and wasting time and discussing things instead of trying to go save a Jedi who may be in danger. There seems to be absolutely no sense of urgency on anyone's part here. So anyway, in this meeting, in this little discussion about who could be the Sith master who may have trained May, could it be a former Jedi? Is it something maybe far worse? Could it be the Sith returning? That he's even alluded to that they think it could be something worse. But anyway, at this meeting of all characters in the history of Star Wars is none other than Ki-Adi-Mundi. None other than the Jedi famously known for saying, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? But also famously known for saying, the Sith have been extinct for a millennium. That guy is alive, even though, according to the canon, he shouldn't even be born yet. That guy is not only alive, but seems to be part of the investigation into the Sith. Which means either he is a complete idiot and somehow forgets about all this, or perhaps he is part of some kind of cover-up. In fact, they don't want to tell the Council what is going on here. Venestra is like, we can't tell the Council, because if we tell the Council, they'll tell the Senate, and then people won't like the Jedi anymore. And so Venestra, who in the previous episode told Sol that we don't do anything without like meaningful discussion and really thinking about it and coming together as a group to figure things out, well, she's like, we don't need to tell the High Council about a possible return of the Sith. We can figure that one out on our own. And so either this is just terrible writing, or Venestra Rose has to be the Sith, or has to be a part of what is going on. She has to be involved somehow. Because this would be so bad otherwise that I can't even wrap my mind around how bad the writing would be here. So anyway, here they are trying to figure out what the next move should be, even though Kelnaka is in danger. And they even kind of acknowledge he's in danger because they're like, well, May has already killed 2 Jedi. They even bring up the images of the 3 Jedi and read out the 2 that were killed, which I thought was just kind of hilarious in a way. Like, those were Jedi, those were people, and you're like, well, we'll just kind of nix them out on our display here. We'll put their faces in red to show that they died. Anyway, Venestra is all mad at Sol that he didn't tell her all the details about what happened 16 years ago, that May might still be alive, even though from Sol's point of view, she absolutely definitely died because she fell into a pit, essentially. And I can't help but think this is kind of funny or ironic that she's all mad that you're not telling me things, and then she's like, well, I'm not going to tell the High Council anything. Again, I feel like Venestra has to be somehow involved with the bad guys. Otherwise, she's just incompetent, she's stupid, she's hot-headed, she's everything a Jedi shouldn't be. But then again, maybe that is the whole point. Maybe they really are just trying to paint the Jedi in a completely negative light, make them look like a bunch of bureaucrats who only care about their reputation and not actually helping anybody, that they're more concerned about their image than, going to try and save a Jedi, or again telling the Council that, what, there might be a Sith on the loose. I know they've been gone for like 900 years, and it's a really big deal if they return because they tend to do bad things, but no, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to keep it on the down low because I'm worried about our image. Well, your image is going to look real bad if the Sith return and take over the galaxy 100 years later, isn't it? And it gets even worse as this conversation carries on because Venestra says to Saul, who wants to go and try to chase down May or track down May because he is worried about who the master is and what this could all lead to if we have some kind of dark sider out there training people. You know, that could lead to bad things. But Venestra even says to him that she fears that May might only be a small part of her master's plan, and that it is something that is difficult to see, some sort of shift, something to maybe tip the scales even. In other words, she is fearing the worst here, right? She's fearing the worst. She potentially believes the Sith are coming back, and she still isn't going to tell the Council. Oh my god. Again, she's either working with the Sith, or she is the worst Jedi ever. It's then back to Khofar and more between May and Quamar is all like, well, how are you going to do it this time? How are you going to kill the Sith? I thought you weren't supposed to use a weapon, yet you've used a weapon the last 2 times. Are you finally going to do what the Master asked you to do? We get a lot of that. He seems very concerned about how the Master wants May to kill the Sith, which is again kind of pointing at him either being the Master or being the Master's apprentice, assuming there is indeed 2, which there always is 2. But you know what I mean. We don't know if it's a master looking for a new apprentice or if there is an apprentice looking for an apprentice to kill the master. We don't know where we are in the cycle of the Sith, if you will. So anyway, Quamar is looking like he is the Sith or one of the Sith because of how curious he is about everything. And May finally asks, like, well, why are you working for him? What is your relation to him? Do you know anything about him? And Quamar is like, I don't really work for him. I just owe him something. And then he says, well, you know how he collects people. And so this is a little clue, maybe a little more subtle than some of them have been, that there are others out there that he has collected and that are working for him. Again, I go back to Venestra. I feel like she has to be somehow involved with the Sith. Next, Saul catches up with Osha and tells her, we need your help bringing in May. And Osha's like, so you want me to be a Jedi again? And Saul's like, well, no, I don't know why you thought that. And Osha's like, so you're just kind of going to use me to get to my sister? And Saul is like, well, yeah, but I think there's still good in your sister that we can save her. And May's like, well, she killed people. And Saul's like, well, yeah, she killed people, but she still loves you and there is still good in her. And I don't really have a problem with Saul not wanting to just assume the absolute worst, even though, yes, this is a murderer. I mean, he is trying to be a Jedi. He is trying to look for the best in people. He is going to try to appeal to her better nature. We have obviously seen something like that in Star Wars before, and so don't really have a problem with this. I like that Saul is trying to just be a Jedi through and through. I feel like he is the only Jedi in this show. He is the only character I actually like. It's just a shame he happens to be in this show where everything else around him isn't so good. Alright, so next the Jedi are on their way to Khofar, and Yord gives a little briefing about the situation. We learn that Kalnaka has been sent by the Jedi Order to this planet. He's been there for about a year, and they are trying to send him a communication to warn him of danger, but of course he is not responding. So anyway, the Jedi are just going to have to kind of wander into the forest and find him, and they bring along a little cute alien tracker guy. Before they then roam into the woods, Osha goes to Yord and is like, hey, so Master Soul thinks that maybe May can be saved, but if she can't, are you able to do what must be done? Because I don't think I can do it myself. I might hesitate again. And Yord is like, well, maybe he brought you here to face her because he thinks you can save her or help save her, or maybe he brought you here to save yourself and all that good stuff. And again, I feel like it's another scene that really is supposed to make you question what exactly is going on with Osha. Shouldn't she be eager to try and save her sister or to learn what's going on? Instead, she's coming up with a contingency plan to make sure that May is killed. Now, sure, maybe she's afraid that May is going to kill someone else. I get that. But it really comes off as strange. It really comes off as if Osha is worried that they are going to take May alive and learn something from her, even though she initially just wanted to run away from it, though maybe she was trying to get away because she knew something bad was going to come out. I don't know, just a very strange scene, a very strange little interaction here that again calls into question what exactly is Osha up to, or what is she thinking here. Next up, and because we're 15 minutes deep into the episode and haven't had any action yet, they all come across some weird bug creatures that are attached to trees, some really big bug creatures. And as you can probably predict, of course, Osha has to touch one. The thing then kind of comes to life and flies, and Osha notices it and calls out for Master Saul. He then immediately pulls out his lightsaber before the thing has even done anything aggressive, and it flies at him and he cuts it in half as if, what does it matter, it's just some stupid bug, and then they move along. Kind of a strange little scene. Again, I think it's in here mainly for action. And look, I get it. Star Wars likes its creatures. It always does and always should have cool creatures in it and little moments like this. I don't really have a problem with the scene being in here or adding a little touch of action into a walking through the forest episode. But it did feel a little odd or out of character out of the guy who was like, we should try to save the murderer. There's some good left in her. That he sees a creature just kind of hovering in the sky and is like, lightsaber time. Let's kill this thing. This is then followed up by somehow the best and worst moment of the show, because Jecki goes up to Osha because Osha's a little distraught after getting the bug creature killed. And Jecki's like, what's wrong? And Osha's like, well, I could sense that creature and my actions caused it to be killed. And this is a very Star Wars-like thing that, yes, actions or choices have consequences. I actually really like this. But then Jecki says, it's always an honor to witness anyone or anything transform into the Force, which is a really strange thing to say. And look, I get it. We can go to episode 3 and Yoda says we should rejoice for those who die and join with the Force. But Yoda wasn't saying it's cool to kill things and then watch them join with the Force. That sounds like a sociopath. Basically, what Yoda was trying to say is that death is a part of life. We are all going to die and we have to learn how to accept that, and that after we die, we get to go join with the Force, which is, I guess, a pleasant experience. Or a pleasant afterlife where you just kind of become one with it. He's not saying it is cool to kill things and then to watch them join with the Force, and I'm not saying that's exactly what Jecki was trying to say, but it does come off a little odd after what Osha had just said, what she was upset about. And I mean, in all reality, from Jecki's perspective here, or her philosophy, shouldn't we be looking for May to honor her for killing Jedi and helping them transform into the Force? If that is really such a good thing, then why don't the Jedi just kind of roam around the galaxy and kill everyone and anything they come into contact with to help them become one with the Force? And yes, I'm obviously being a bit facetious here, but my point is that ending life early is always a tragedy. Even if it is just a stupid bug that happens to threaten you, it was Osha's fault that it did that in the first place, and so it is kind of her fault that the bug is dead, that a life got cut short, because the Jedi are defenders of life. That is why they obviously don't go running around killing everybody in the galaxy. I mean, there are other reasons too, but they're trying to defend life. Yes, they understand that it ends, but they do not want to be the ones that have to bring it to an end for any reason. But moving on from that, next we see Quamar and May in the forest again, and Quamar is all like, come on, we gotta hurry, we're like 10 minutes away from the Wookiee, we gotta kill him, let's go, let's go. And we don't really know why there's such a sense of urgency out of him. We can make a guess, or I will make a guess, that he is somehow being informed by somebody that the Jedi are right behind him, that they are almost to kill Naka as well. Now, who could that be? And I'm going to go back to Venestra Rowe. I think she has informed him what is going on. I think the whole let's have a meeting about what to do was to give him time, to give him and May time to get to the planet and to kill the Wookiee first. Because for whatever reason, she doesn't want them to get to the Wookiee. She is the one that wants them dead. Because Quamar here does indeed seem like it is very important to kill them. It seems like it is more than just he wants to help May get revenge. He wants them dead for the Master's reasons. But anyway, May seems to be having some doubts or second thoughts at this point, and she even kind of gets frustrated and says that this is not a test, this is impossible, you can't kill a Jedi without a weapon. She goes on to say that attacking a defenseless person goes against everything a Jedi stands for, which sure kind of sounds good and true and is to a point or a degree, but if a person is attacking you without a weapon and has the ability to kill you, then it doesn't matter if they have a weapon or not, they are still a threat. Or, for example, if they are a threat to someone else, the Jedi will do what they must to defend them. If the Jedi come across somebody beating the crap out of somebody and they don't have a weapon, it's not like the Jedi are just going to stand there and go, well, I can't really do anything because they don't have a weapon. Anyway, the scene then ends with Quamar running off because he's all excited, and May kind of hangs back for a moment and looks up at the trees as if she is thinking something. She then begins to pull something out of her bag, and, well, she's going to set a trap for Quamar, get him stuck in a trap, in a snare, essentially, because I don't exactly know why she does that. I don't know if she is beginning to suspect something about him, that he is more than meets the eye again, or why exactly she will get him trapped and then go on alone. Probably because she's going to or has decided to just turn herself in, but we'll get to that in a moment. We then find out that the Jedi's tracker has kind of disappeared, and Sol has this look on his face like he's maybe sensing something is wrong or sensing the presence of somebody. Maybe he senses May, maybe he senses the Sith, maybe it's Kelnaka, maybe it's Kelnaka being killed, but he senses something. And then they all hear a scream and go running, and that scream actually turns out to be Quamar falling into the trap that May set for him. These two then have a lovely little talk where apparently May has had an epiphany and that she doesn't want to do this anymore. She doesn't want to kill the Jedi. She says that Osha being alive changes everything and that her loyalty is with Osha. And I'm really confused by all this for multiple reasons, but I'll just get into like one of them. If May was doing this to get revenge on the Jedi, why exactly was she trying to get revenge on them for? Is it just for Osha's death, or is it for the death of all the witches? What exactly does May think happened? Because if she's just satisfied that Osha is alive, does that mean she only thinks that the 4 of them are responsible for her death, and not the other witches? Why does Osha being alive kind of change whatever happened that day? What is her perspective? Is this bad writing, or does it make sense when we eventually, I'm assuming, see things from her perspective? Either way, Quamar, who is stuck in the trap, he is obviously quite distraught about all of this, and he says that you can't just turn yourself in, that the Jedi will put you into prison. And she's like, not after I tell them what I know. And so he responds by saying, well, he'll kill you then. And honestly, I think the Jedi are going to put you in prison. You killed like 2 people, or at least you killed 1 and helped another commit suicide. You've done some bad things. You're going to prison no matter what you know. And of course, the question still has to be, though, what does she know that Quamar and the Sith Master would be so upset about? And obviously it has to be that they are Sith or something along those lines. But even if you do tell the Jedi everything you know, they're not going to forgive you for that. Again, you killed somebody. You don't just get to go scot-free if you have killed somebody, no matter what the reason for it is, unless it is truly self-defense, but we know that wasn't the case. We're then back with Saul, who continues to look like he is sensing something. Osha comes up to him and is like, hey, I can sense stuff again. I'm ready to face my sister. I got the courage to do it this time. And Saul is like, no, you're not actually going to do that. There's actually some kind of secret I've been keeping from you, and as soon as we get May and get her back to the ship, I'm going to tell you everything, which means I think next week we're going to get a Saul flashback episode. We're going to see the events of that night from his perspective. Anyway, May reaches Kelnaka's little hut and is ready to turn herself in. She goes into the hut and is like, hey, I'm here to turn myself in, basically. But it turns out Kelnaka has been killed by a lightsaber. And it is very recent. It is literally still smoking. It's also interesting to note that he's just kind of sitting there, which I think tends to mean one of 2 things. He was completely taken by surprise by someone who was very stealthy, or he potentially knew the person who did it and didn't expect them to slice him open with a lightsaber. And it is good to see that a lightsaber has killed a person here. Maybe the secret is to slice and not stab. The Jedi then reach Kelnaka's house, and they basically say, come out with your hands up, this is the police, and of course she doesn't come out. Saul then once again senses something. We don't know if he senses something familiar, maybe. He doesn't seem to be, like, not understanding what it is, necessarily. He seems to be more like, how could that be here? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misinterpreting. But he slowly turns around, and descending from the trees is a Sith Lord. Is Darth Teeth, as many are calling him, or Smilo Ren, or, I don't know, Darth Smiley, I don't know, pick your name. But he comes down from the trees, and he goes up to Osha, and he pulls a lightsaber. The Jedi then react by pulling all their own lightsabers, igniting them, and as I was talking about at the start, they just kind of charge at the Sith, telling Osha to run. They seem to kind of forget about all that training and just, do the first instinct that comes to mind and attack. And yeah, you could make the argument that they're worried about Osha, they're trying to protect her. But I mean, if the Sith really wants to kill her, he could just kill her. He's literally right in front of her. Not to mention, I thought it was an honor to see someone transform into the Force, so they should just let him do it. But anyway, he kind of flicks away Osha, and then all the Jedi are running at him, and he force pushes all of them, one giant blast, and that is how the episode ends. And, well, so much for the idea that the Jedi have not seen the Sith in a millennium. They are encountering one right now. And I'm not going to go too much into my thoughts on all of that. I did in yesterday's video. If you want to see how I feel about this, you can watch that video. And instead, let's do some fun theorizing right now about who this could be. And if this is indeed a good mystery to any degree whatsoever, we have been introduced to the Sith at some point already. You can't call it a mystery, you can't try to play along if you are not introduced to the character that it is ultimately going to be. We cannot conjure up suspects out of the ether and try to figure that out. And so going under the assumption that this is a character we know, I've seen plenty of ideas already. Mine is that it is Venestra Rowe. I don't think that makes a ton of sense, but I think it makes the most sense. I think she is the Sith apprentice. I think there is a master out there that we are not seeing. I don't think that this person, whoever they are, is a master Sith if we're going by a rule of two here, where there is a master and an apprentice. This is just the apprentice looking for their own apprentice. I'm even going to assume that whoever this was there 16 years ago when the fire happened. They were looking into the twins. They wanted to recruit them. We even know later on, obviously, that they will recruit May. And so this could be Venestra. She could be kind of orchestrating or manipulating everything. She could have called Sol and the other Jedi back in order to delay them, to give May and Khofar a head start, to get to Kilnaka because she wants him dead, because Kilnaka knows something that could maybe allude to the fact that she was there or something along those lines. I've seen other people suggesting or putting the theory out there that this is Master Indara, or this is Trinity from the Matrix. That's the character's name, is Master Indara. But there's a big problem with this one, that being she dies in the first episode, and I'm going to assume that the Jedi have recovered her body. I'm going to assume if they did not recover the body, they would find that quite odd. I mean, it's not like May did anything to her. She just left the cantina, essentially. We saw that in the first episode. So they'd have the body, and they would probably have burned the body. So I don't know how it could be her unless they didn't recover the body or something really strange is going on. And if it is her, that is going to be a pretty big plot hole, I'd argue. Another suspect is, of course, Khofar, and I think that is just way, way too obvious. I mean, maybe that's where they're going. Maybe they don't care about it being obvious. Maybe there's another twist involved here, another mystery that is actually bigger than this one. I don't know. Or maybe he is just the apprentice to this master. That is a possibility as well. But I don't think he is going to be the big bad guy, if that makes sense. The final suspect, or the final one we'll talk about at least, is Coral from the Witches, the mother who gave birth to them. I've seen a lot of people suggest that theory, and I don't think that's a bad one. I don't know that she had the power to become a Sith. I mean, maybe. I know some are saying that they are trying to build up to this I am your mother moment, and maybe that is where this is going. And if they do, I'm just going to roll my eyes and laugh at it. But anyway, those are the suspects as I see them, and right now my money is on Venestra Rowe. And so to sum up the episode, as you could probably tell by everything I said here, I did not find this to be very good or enjoyable. There were only a few things in here that I thought were okay. I thought visually it looked pretty cheap. It was also a very short episode. This was under 30 minutes long, and you're wondering why we have to cut in the middle of the start of the fight. It feels like a cheap gimmick to get me to watch next week. I don't know, just did not enjoy this very much. I'm not finding very many reasons to enjoy this overall. I did go into this wanting to be hopeful or optimistic, and at the very least wanting to be fair, but so far nothing about this has impressed me. I don't know, maybe you are enjoying it, and that is completely fine. You can love the show, that's great, but my opinion is that this is not very good Star Wars. Well, that is going to be all I got for you this time. Now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you thought of this episode. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did you notice things that I didn't? Or whatever the case might be. Leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.